Welcome to the Crypto on the Block radio show, featuring industry pioneers and CEOs across various industries in blockchain and cryptocurrency. Here's your host, Matthew Loughran.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another show of Crypto on the Block. Again, your host, Matthew Loughran. Today, we have an exciting show. We have co-founders Matthew Herrick and Charles Wizmer from Deedcoin. Now, Deedcoin is a patented blockchain-powered real estate service disruptor capable of true 1% commissions using its broker network in all 50 states. Matthew also founded an investment real estate brokerage, also has extensive investment real estate experience, including managing transactions for both small and large-scale property developers, REITs, and private equity funds. Charles, also co-founder, also owns a successful property investment firm with over 30% profit margins per property through rehabbing and flipping foreclosure properties for the last 4 years. Guys, glad you're on the show. Welcome. So glad we can get you on.
Happy to be here.
Thank you, Matthew. It's good to be here.
I know you guys are super busy right now, you know, with the public crowd sale about to start. So would love if you guys can tell us a little bit about yourselves and Deedcoin.
Yeah, absolutely, Matthew. So I have a background in investment properties, buying these, getting them back to market. And Matthew has an extensive background as far as real estate. He decided to upgrade his license to a broker's license and basically open one of the, maybe the only in the area, investment real estate brokerage exclusively for customers that, you know, do exactly this, fix up a property, put it back on market, rental portfolios, things like that. So we realized something. We have a lot of people that pay entirely too much commission. They weren't our customers. Our customers did repeat business. The line item for commission was a business bottom line for them. So it was very important that they had a competitive rate whenever they did this. Basically, we had a model where we had volume customers, and in exchange, we did not charge the regular market rates of 6% to sell a property. So we realized that this could grow to a huge level. There are discount real estate models that spring up locally in towns, but they can't really build that way. Something like blockchain is really powerful technology that's very new to the world. For Bitcoin and what it did for banks, being able to send money outside of the basically the centralized control and, you know, monopolized fee structures, and connect a user directly. We bring that same market economics through blockchain to the real estate industry. So it's a $158 billion revenue industry a year. Everything's fixed at that 6% price. That's how it's generating that much money. But it's taken that money as equity out of people's homes and out of people's ownership. It doesn't need to work that way. We can reduce a lot of the centralization in real estate by moving things away from the price raising models that they have currently and connecting users directly.
Wow, so it sounds like me knowing, because I've bought and sold my own home now a couple times. You know, I moved recently from Washington back down to California.
How many times?
So, sold my home in Washington. Took a while to buy a new one in California because the rates here are insane, and it's, you know, cutthroat, if you will. But you're right, though. The level of payout that I saw in both transactions was pretty, you know, insane.
That's 12% right there of the amount of money.
When I look at the how expensive my houses were to begin with, it added up to be quite a lot of money. So obviously there's definitely a need for a service like this.
Now, the 6% doesn't really represent the amount of work real estate agents and brokers do anymore. I'm sure 97% of people, both new and existing home buyers, find the homes themselves, right, or do most of the marketing themselves. It's the 6% just isn't a fair rate anymore. Like, I'm sure you did a majority of the work for finding the house that you ended up purchasing after you sold the other one. Why do you have to pay that same amount? Funny
you say that, right? My wife found our house in Washington, and then she actually also found our house in California. So it wasn't like presented to us. We presented him to the real estate agent, actually.
And that guy's supposed to make sure that he's representing your best interest, but he only gets paid on the amount of money you spend, and then would get paid when you spend more, right?
Exactly.
It's a good thing your wife found the house, or else the real estate agent might have talked you into $2 million home or $3 million home.
Now, obviously, this is it's a large problem in the industry. It sounds like, or maybe it's a hidden problem within that industry. So I'd love to kind of hear a little bit more about Deedcoin itself and how it looks to fill this hidden gap, if you will.
It is actually a hidden problem. It's really good that you said that, because not a lot of people view it that way. Right? In any other industry, whether it's textiles, steel, anything, finance, what is going on in real estate would be illegal anywhere else. It is price fixing on a national scale. We didn't all get together and have a meeting and say, all right, as the populace of the United States, we vote for 6%. I was not part of that vote. I didn't even get an absentee ballot. So there's a reason for that. There is an organization called the National Association of Realtors, the NAR, that masquerades itself as a consumer advocacy and real estate ethics organization. But what they actually are is one of the largest lobbying organizations in the United States. There is about 1.5 million realtors right now, right, that pay about $1,000 to $900 a year in these association dues. It's $1 billion, right? And we wonder why there's 50 different real estate laws, or for some reason anybody tries to get real estate commissions on a national level lowered. It's not a surprise that it doesn't work. I mean, there's a reason why McDonald's pays less taxes than the employees that work at McDonald's. And it's proliferated through these mega brokers. Not a lot of people know that Coldwell Banker, Remax, Century 21, Sotheby's, they're all the same company. It's an organization called Realogy, right? And these people spend about $300 million a quarter in advertising. So they make it's like you walk down the food aisle and you see all these different brands of food. They're actually the same food, the same company pushing the same agenda.
Wow, that's pretty kind of eye-opening. I think that's a great analogy too, right? So that's like basically walking in and seeing the same exact product with a different label on it, and
exactly it. Now Century 21, Remax, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's, it's all the same company.
Wow, look at that. So what I've seen with Deedcoin, it really looks like you guys doing something pretty revolutionary in that you're trying to democratize the fee structure for real estate transactions, right? So what we just heard as well, right? You have a centralized organization, kind of that giant gorilla in a room, if you will. So I'd love to hear kind of what you think the impact is going to be on the real estate buying process, through the Deedcoin solution.
So you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Markets generally, unless they're manipulated, follow the path of least resistance. That means if you have a cost model that is much lower and offers a better product at that price point that's better than the competition, then it becomes and takes over the competition. Our market model is very, very powerful. Number one, we found a way to sustain a system basically by giving away 100% of the commissions through network brokerage option online. And by doing that, we have managed to kind of take all those marketing costs, all those customer acquisition costs. And on the customer side, the really powerful thing is they choose their own rate. Deedcoin's really simple. 10 Deedcoin equal 1% of the price on any property. You can use 50 of them, obviously, for 5%. That takes that 6% down to 1%. So basically, because tokens on the blockchain, you can track them. They can be traded. These are free market price mechanisms. So we're actually letting the free market set the price of these. And because they are usable tokens, when they come back to the network to decide the price of real estate transactions, it's actually the free market. It's actually the customers deciding based on each percentage point what real estate costs. So that 1% streamlines and maintains. Any commission on top of that is decided by the free market now.
I don't think we actually sell it, but we actually give away that 1% as well. Deedcoin doesn't take any of it.
Yeah, and that's an important point as well. Deedcoin operates in certain core market areas, but where it's not core market areas, where we don't have to have that, cost override to maintain the network, we partner. I mean, we work on that network business model. Amazon, for example, they didn't grow as large as they were and managed to streamline things by manufacturing every spoon. They partner with the spoon people. They let the spoon people access a platform where they can connect directly to customers. We do that same thing. We're a network model. And that network is very strong. It's 50 states. We haven't even gotten through the distribution, but it's 50 states. It's 140 cities across those 50 states. I mean, it's here. And the platform is very powerful. It's a much better customer experience as well. Lower price at a better point too.
Yeah, we accidentally built the largest cryptocurrency real estate brokerage network in the world.
Yeah.
So one big question, right, is if I'm in a real estate buying process, have a look at Deedcoin. Do you guys have agents then as well? How do you interact with agents? Because obviously the current process, people are used to, meeting agents and going and seeing a house. Is there an agent associated with your model? Can you maybe explain that?
Yeah. So the important thing is actually how you find your agent with Deedcoin. It's very, very simple to use. Our platform for using Deedcoin is already online, deedcoinhq.com. On there is where you actually use the Deedcoin to connect. So, for example, instead of asking if your wife has a friend in real estate or finding a random one on Google that paid to have their face at a certain position, you can simply log on there and find the Deedcoin agent in your area. Start the transaction on there, decide your rate. So you're going in knowing you have an experienced agent. You're going in knowing your rate ahead of time. You're going in knowing that this guy is local to you before you even start the transaction, which is absolutely incredible because nobody really knows the quality of their agent. They got to negotiate price when the agent gets there. This is a much more streamlined thing. The actual transaction itself, you can buy a house on any MLS. You can list on any local MLS where the same way it operates on top of the existing infrastructure of real estate. And the discounts or credits are reflected on the same HUD forms that people close with. In the meantime, the transaction actually happens a lot faster because the agents locally also have cloud-based support from somebody over at our central area. And that's a transaction processor license, can schedule inspections, can make sure the process is moving forward. So they're getting a much better experience. Everything is transparent. And yeah, it reflects in the same way, just a much better rate.
So just to make some clarification on that then, so you have the full ecosystem there to purchase the home in the US, and then what a consumer can do with Deedcoin is basically leverage Deedcoin to then drive down their cost in regards for percentage points for what they have to pay out. Is that kind of?
Yeah. So to give a really simple outline of the system, Deedcoin HQ say where they are, what the budget is, or how much they're selling for, whether they're buying or selling their home, and then they open up their portal on the platform. They can put the home on there and then choose the rate. They choose the rate very simply. It starts at the market rate. So say that's 6%. Every 10 Deedcoin they move onto the platform lowers that potential end commission by 1%. So for example, if they want to do 4%, then they'll put 20 Deedcoin on there. If they want to do 1%, then they're going to put the 50 on there. If they're a buyer and they want 2% of their house back as a rebate immediately from regular market commissions, they'll put 20 Deedcoin on there. They can do that in all but 9 states. So from there, they just the system connects them to the local agent. Everything's agreed on. Everybody understands the transaction has begun, and then it goes off in the world. Deedcoin agents operate the exact same way. They are, fully licensed. They're local agents. They're qualified.
Except without the competition, we pick one Deedcoin agent, one Deedcoin broker in a 50-mile radius. So we get the address of your office and draw a 50-mile circle around it. Right, that broker now, instead of having to fight for all the other brokerages, right, for the small customer pool that represents their area, their county, right, the competition's removed. They're not spending their time fighting and marketing, right? All they have to do is take care of the people in their area. The broker goes back to being a caretaker, an advocate. If he doesn't have to worry about where his next meal is coming from, he actually can focus on the transaction and helping people out.
So what you've really done is you put the customer experience first and remove the salesman aspect of real estate with that platform.
Exactly.
I like it. Okay, cool. Sounds like there's a lot of services that you guys plan to offer or do offer with the platform. I'd love to get an idea of kind of what's really exciting you the most about the platform itself.
Well, there's one particular one that excites me the most. Right. If you take away the real estate brokerage network, 50 states, 140 cities, you take away the token that basically is a way for people to dictate the amount of commission they want to pay by however many tokens they have or want to deposit. Take those away. What's left is Deedcoin HQ. It's a platform that by itself would absolutely change the way real estate is done. The easiest way to describe HQ is with an example. Right? Let's say you're a first-time home buyer. Right? You get home from work at 11 o'clock at night because you have to work late because you're a first-time home buyer. And you find a form in the mailbox. You have absolutely no idea what this form is. It scares you to death because everything scares you when you're a first-time home buyer. And it's too late to call your real estate agent. You can't call them at midnight, right? Unless, actually you don't even want your realtor to be up at midnight. There's nothing good for him to be doing at midnight. So instead of worrying about this form, you can hop on Deedcoin HQ, right? Log in. And it's not like when you call, let's say, Bank of America customer service or any other customer service, we have to explain the entire thing to each person because you get a new person every time, right? There's dedicated transaction coordinators. They're with the transaction from start to finish. So the person you're going to get connected to already knows exactly where you are in the transaction, where you are in the process, who your agent is, who you are. So you're not doing the whole spiel, but you can literally say, all right, this is what this form looks like. I don't know how to fill it out or what it does, right? The transaction coordinator through the chat can explain it. And if they're having trouble explaining it, the person can take a picture of the form itself and upload it in the chat. And then the transaction coordinator can go through and show them how to fill it out. Now, let's say it's still too difficult. It's still too tricky. Using a JotNot type API, the customer can take a picture of it again, right? The picture of the form turns into a PDF and the transaction coordinator can actually fill the form out for them and DocuSign it back to them. And then also send the copies to the agent and to, let's say, if it has to go to the finance company, right? That process right there would take days conventionally. Like I would have to call my agent the next day, say, hey, I got this form. I would have to give it to him. And since most real estate agents are lazy and they have transaction coordinators doing things, that agent's going to have to give the transaction coordinator the form. That person's going to have to fill it out, give it back to the agent. The agent's got to give it back to you. It's ridiculous. Putting everyone on the same platform on even keel, right? Bringing everyone to a discussion makes the work so much more streamlined, which is one of the major benefits why Deedcoin brokers jump onto the network. Not only do they get somebody to basically do the paperwork for them, right? But they also can do so many more transactions. Like, yes, you're getting paid 1% instead of your usual 3% for that side, but you're getting so much more, so much faster with so much support.
Yeah, I remember, again, going through the process a couple times, the mountains of paperwork in this industry is mind-boggling to me.
Well, at least with Deedcoin, you're getting paid to do the paperwork, right? You're the one that gets a check back that's larger than your real estate agent at closing. So at least you're getting compensated for the effort.
Absolutely. So you mentioned one thing there I want to touch on is the first-time home buyer. So I'm kind of curious, is that part of your target market for this product? Is that first-time home buyer, knowing that millennials are probably in the market now looking to buy homes? Millennials also one of the largest crypto investment demographics. Is that part of the mix with you guys, or can you expand upon that?
Well, our market demographic here is basically anybody who has a home or wants to have a home, because 50 Deedcoin basically protect 5% of the equity. Even somebody that paid off home, when they go to market down the road eventually to move or whatever, they're losing 5% more than they have to a real estate agent. It's 5% of the most valuable thing they own. Say they have 30% equity, take 5% off of that extra in real estate commissions. You've taken 1/6 of that home away. It's really not acceptable. The market works this way currently. So our market is absolutely everybody. Maybe millennials may hear about it earlier due to the blockchain technology, but the fact is that we've had a lot of our subscribers are people that are, number one, want to use this for commercial transactions, investment portfolio style transactions, and then just the people who have had a more seasoned experience in real estate, maybe bought and sold 3 primary residences and are tired of writing those giant commission checks.
Like Matt here.
So yeah, no, our market is everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm your market is what you're telling me.
Well, that's the thing, is that every other cryptocurrency organization only transacts in crypto, right? only 1% of the world's population uses crypto. Because Deedcoin went backwards, forwards, or as our PR person likes to call it, we fight southpaw. We built the entire platform and also the broker network that supports it before we sold a single token. And that was important because we wanted a specific advantage from that. Right? Deedcoin is the only ICO that I've ever heard of that takes credit cards. Unless if you're 60 years old and you hear about cryptocurrency on the news and Bitcoin this and blockchain that, unless you have a 12-year-old grandson that's going to walk you through setting up a MyEther wallet, you're not really invited to the party. So with Deedcoin, because we built everything first, a person, regardless of their age, can come in on their Amex and leave on their Ether wallet. Right? We automatically generate a secure Ether wallet. We have no access whatsoever to anything. Right? Any person can do it. So not just the 1% that uses crypto, the other 99% too.
Well, so far everything's been sounding very interesting and intriguing about the organization, the offering. But I like kind of look at the flip side is kind of what are some of the company's biggest threats at this point?
Well, none from Redfin, Zillow, or Realogy, that's for sure. Our biggest, I wouldn't say threat, our biggest hurdle is going to be cutting through the static. But, it doesn't matter, how we get our traffic of the initial contributors onto the site and who buys Deedcoin first, right? After that, the real challenge is getting the other people that weren't involved in Deedcoin, getting the average person that doesn't even know about crypto into Deedcoin, saving money. You shouldn't lose 5% of the most valuable thing that you own just because you're not hip to crypto. So the biggest threat or the biggest challenge is going to be education, cutting through that noise, and basically going to battle for airtime with, like, let's say Zillow, who spends $105 million every 3 months on marketing. Like we have our challenge cut out for us. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I think that was a really good answer in regards for the education piece, right? So it's really not not just your organization, but a lot of different blockchain organizations. Again, educating folks on how their process works, right? Getting adoption in mainstream markets and so forth. And you did mention as well the kind of the hurdles that you're looking at, but can you also actually maybe walk through some of maybe the revenue model for the organization? Because so far you said that you charge the 1%, but you don't actually get the 1%. So I'm trying to figure out how is Deedcoin making money. So maybe you can maybe kind of walk me through a little bit about the revenue model as well.
Yes, absolutely. So the revenue model is fairly simple. Where we have the partner brokerages, we actually don't want to cut in their pockets. For example, most of the U.S. is covered in a footprint where we want to reward them with volume. We want them to value the system. And for doing that, we don't want to charge them the franchise fee. We actually want to support those customers with transaction coordinators off of our own budgets. The revenue model to operate this system basically adheres from a few things. Number one, it adheres from the core markets area, a few certain counties and zip codes, places that are, I guess, one would say ideal. That 1% is a high number on your average transaction. So the profit from that area is going to be operational revenue to maintain the system in other areas. Secondly, we do have a good platform as far as basically coordinating certain market fitting products onto the platform. We are partnering with some blockchain people in the real estate space, but more importantly, home buyers, when they're looking at these properties, they need things like home insurance. They need things like inspections. We can also obviously offer them certain people in the area that have been vetted to have good price, good reviews, good quality. So there's definitely an advertising revenue model, and it's important to have these things as well because these revenue models are what sustain and grow the marketing for the whole network. So, and that's not just our areas, that's their areas. The more people we can educate on the Deedcoin platform, get transacting in Deedcoin, the better the system can grow and the more enhancements we can make to it.
And then you mentioned as well, some other real estate blockchain companies. There's been, quite a few that have come out here over the last year and a half or so. I would love to kind of hear a little bit more from you guys about the differentiators, kind of where you stand in the market compared to what you're seeing.
Like say Redfin.
Well, specifically on chain.
On the chain, there's really no competition on the chain. Because 90% of the real estate cryptos are basically blockchain versions of real estate investment trusts, which I'm not even going to go down that road of how horrible of an idea that is, nor am I going to mention any names. The other ones are real estate service models, one focused on an MLS that doesn't actually work and was supposed to be decentralized. I wouldn't say our competition is going to come from the blockchain space because there's really nothing like this even close. The only other competition we would have in the real world would be, let's say, Redfin. They say they tote 1% commission and say, oh, we can do 1% commission, but it's only 1% commission per side. So yeah, they may list your house for 1%, but you still got to stroke that buyer's agent a check for 3%. So, I mean, we can't make them be more honest in their marketing that the lowest they can go is 4%. But what we will say is it took them 15 years to get to 37 states, and we did all 50 states in a year. So, I mean, maybe they're not that threatening. I hope that doesn't come off as arrogant at all. But we've done our due diligence and who our competition is. We did a lot of work on. We spent a lot of time on who would be our threats and how to get around those.
Yeah, no, as you should, right? If you run an organization, you should know what your competitive landscape looks like. And speaking of landscape, I see you guys you're building on Ethereum. You have built on Ethereum. Any specific reason why Ethereum was your blockchain of choice?
Ethereum is very, very smart contract friendly. Number one. Secondly, the transaction fees are low. The processing speeds, although not the fastest in the industry, are quick. And remember, it's important to build on something that you know is going to be around and get developed over a couple years. If you're going on one of these new blockchains and they're not a couple years old, you hope that team's going to be there pushing improvements, pushing upgrades. But Ethereum is large; it's here to stay. They do have the budget to continuously push that forward and keep it, I guess, at the front of the industry's options. We're not against, I guess, switching to or upgrading to a better blockchain should one come about and be proven to be infinitely, more viable than the current model. But that doesn't exist right now, so it's important to go with the strongest choice.
Sure, absolutely, and obviously it's with so many different ICOs coming out and building on Ethereum, they should have plenty of money to put into development. So, absolutely. And then in regards for just launching the organization, right? Running an ICO, running a public crowd sale, there's so many different competing priorities. And how do you prioritize your duties, your days, right? Because it's really hard to cram 40 hours a day into 24 hours half the time. So I would love to hear from you guys as co-founders. What do you do to help prioritize?
Well, most importantly, it's division of labor. We have divided our launch into certain categories and put kind of heads of those categories and kept everything in a nice task flow. But currently, things are always popping up. During our pre-sale, for example, we had Vietnamese hackers try to attack the system. So, it's just all sorts of things will constantly get thrown in the mix that must be dealt with immediately. But I guess, when these problems kind of come up, it means that you've become a target. And if you're becoming a target, then you're doing something right. So anyways,
Monday helps. You really like Monday.
Yeah, we do use a task management app. Basically, we've divided it into, in the blockchain space, there's a lot of partnerships that can be made. That's one very, very important aspect. There's a lot of good solutions out there that are in the same industries or close industries. So that's almost a full-time job managing that aspect of the business. Platforms is absolutely critical. That's managing any kind of product on there, any kind of legal, and then of course the actual systems of which the platforms run and the token launch runs on. There's a promotion, which is basically PR, talking about what we're doing, spreading our product to more people, and then there's just it's always a huge list of options. But Anyways, we get out of here at 11 o'clock to 1 in the morning most nights because of these things that pop up.
Most nights. Some nights you're in the cot in the office.
Oh, yeah, it's actually funny. We were literally talking about that this morning, how much more efficient we would be if we just lived here entirely. Because outside of sleeping, the rest of our lives are spent here. Let's put it this way. I thought this would be a much, much, much easier thing to do. Like if I could go back in time and talk to a year ago me, I would shake me very hard and be like, this is going to be hard. You need to understand this.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, right, the landscape of blockchain and initial coin offerings, they change daily, whether that's around a regulatory standpoint, right? Whether that's around a marketing standpoint, the currency markets themselves are so volatile. So the process of running one of these is the same way.
We lucked out. We really did. A lot of things that we thought were disadvantageous, right, that took a crazy amount of effort have benefited us in the long run. Like us building the entire platform and us building the entire broker network. When we were done with development, and then we got to the task of, all right, how do we tell people about this amazing thing that we built? We were kind of behind the 8 ball because every other ICO just comes up with a white paper and idea and says, all right, everybody give me money so I can go build my business with your money. And they get to spend all of their initial investment on marketing, right? We were the opposite. We spent all this time on development and money in development, but it benefited us in a way that we didn't even foresee, because when the regulatory landscape changed, the fact that we were an already viable product and an already usable product. Actually, the first Deedcoin transaction closes at noon tomorrow. Some guy is going, I can't believe saying some guy, a customer is going to be walking away with a $4,000 check for 20 Deedcoin. He spent $35. He's a happy camper. Is that math even?
Wow, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah, because he purchased a credit card.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's hard to express how excited we are. It's kind of a dream.
And I want to clarify one thing. A lot of things out there in the market are, and we hate this term, ICO. That implies that we have an idea. It's on this piece of paper, and our token may be usable on it, but it doesn't exist yet. Deedcoin is not an ICO. It's not what people consider an ICO. It is a token launch. The infrastructure is there. The product is developed, and it was important to do that. Number one, because it should be done, and because more solutions need to prove concept first. And secondly, it's just for the American people, you need to know that something is available when you use it. Something should be usable today, and not after rounds of all this money they're collecting without a platform in the works.
And not just for rich people either.
Yeah, and this isn't just for the people that are trying to buy these things. No, this is a usable token. It is designed for everybody. It applies for everybody to a massive real world market, not some kind of niche industry. And yeah, that's important. We hate that term here, that ICO term. Yeah. We're launching a token that runs on our infrastructure that is already here.
Yeah, and we also don't like the fact that a lot of these launches have either don't allow U.S. contributors or only allow U.S. contributors that are accredited investors. That's something that really rubs me the wrong way. If your solution is decentralizing, is market disrupting, it should not, especially if you're in the U.S. Like if you're a U.S. company and U.S. people can't even buy your thing, or only U.S. rich people can buy your thing, that goes against the thesis of all that the crypto community stands for. It just kind of, how does Peter Griffin say? It grinds my gears.
Yeah.
So it's a very rare thing for a company to be built in the U.S. by people in the U.S. that can sell to everyone in the U.S., not just rich people. So accredited investors and non-accredited investors. And the reason that we can do that is because we built it first. And like a couple people are going to find out tomorrow at noon, it actually works.
That's awesome. I love it. So first off, you guys have been very generous with your time here today on the show. But I would love to, for the listeners, how can they learn more information about Deedcoin? And if they do want to participate in your crowd sale, can you talk about that process?
Absolutely. You can jump on any one of our social media channels from Facebook, Twitter. We love Telegram. We are 100% Telegram converts. Our Telegram community is super active and actually a lot of fun. Whenever I'm actually having a down day, I just jump in our Telegram and I will literally leave a happy guy. You could also subscribe to our whitelist. And honestly, if you're in Florida, we have an open door policy. We are a real estate office. 90% of the people that were part of the team and are still part of the team are real estate agents. That's what a lot of people think, like, oh, you're trying to hurt real estate agents. Oh, you're trying to take away their monies. We're all realtors. We realize that this is a better way. So we have actually a really comfortable office. So we encourage anybody that wants to check out Deedcoin or meet us or let us waste a portion of your afternoon yakking about Deedcoin to come into the office. The development office is on the launch site, deedcoinlaunch.com. So yeah, either hit us up on social media or walk into our office and knock on our door.
And if you already have Deedcoin, you want to use it for a transaction, then the other site, the platform site is deedcoinhq.com. So it's a for token, it's launch, and
actually, they can go on their broker network.
For using the token, it's HQ.
Yeah, actually, they can go on the broker network. If you actually go on Deedcoin HQ, you can deedcoinhq.com. There is a tab at the top that says "Find my Deedcoin agent" or Deedcoin agent map now. After the last refresh, and you can actually go and click through the map of the U.S. and click your state, and it'll give you a list of all the real estate brokers in your state that are already ready to go to take Deedcoin. I mean, we've got 8 in Idaho? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you can actually plan out. I mean, you might even be surprised. You might even see your current real estate agent or real estate brokerage that you like to use already on the Deedcoin list of brokers. And if you think that this is something that, a lot of people build up good relationships, friendly relationships with their real estate agent because they're there, not as much as they should be nowadays, maybe, but they build a kind of a lasting bond. If this is something that excites you, bring it to the attention of your real estate broker. We have 4 full-time people. All they do is answer the phone and do broker onboarding and broker support. So they can call in or shoot them email or on any one of our social media channels, and they can become a Deedcoin broker. We don't take any percentage of their money. Deedcoin keeps its 10 major markets, but the rest of the United States, everything, including the token, is given back to the agent. So if somebody feels strongly about it, invite more realtors, invite more brokerages, and help spread our message.
That's awesome. Definitely will make sure we get those links produced here as well within the show description.
And if you stop by the office, bring food. We don't eat ever.
Or sleep. So you don't sleep by
God, yes.
We like bagels and coffee.
Lots of coffee.
Matthew, Charles, a pleasure having you guys on the show. I know you got a lot of stuff going on here with the token launch, so I really appreciate that. So again, pleasure to have you on, and everybody, obviously, subscribe to the show by clicking on the buttons below. Any questions, by all means, head over to deedcoinlaunch.com and deedcoinhq.com to connect with these guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us on here, Matthew.
Not a problem, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Crypto on the Block radio show with Matthew Loughran. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. Tune in next time.